You're listening to the Sales Today podcast, and I'm your host, Fred Copestake. On this podcast, we explore how sales professionals can develop a more modern approach to selling, the application of virtual and hybrid selling techniques, how to create meaningful business relationships, and much more. And welcome to this episode of the Sales Today podcast, where I am delighted to be joined by Rob Turley. Now, Rob is a podcast host himself. No, in fact, Rob is an award-winning podcast host. So I've got to be on my best behavior. I've got to try and hold my head above water here. But then I suppose he'll look after me anyway. So Rob, welcome.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here. And yeah, the award wasn't on purpose. It was given to me and I got an email and I had no idea that I was in the pool. So yeah, you can't put your name in the hat for this one. But yeah, no, it was kind of a surprise because I had no idea what was going on. Someone sent me an email and they were like, "Hey, you're a finalist." I was like, "A finalist for what?"
Now, it's a good job I've not entered because that would be pretty crushing for me at this stage. But what I also ought to mention, just before we get going properly, is that the podcast is called Down the Rabbit Hole. And that could well be an indicator of where this discussion might go today.
Right down the rabbit hole, yeah. So Down the Rabbit Hole podcast, if you just type in my name and Down the Rabbit Hole, you will find it. And I'm also a co-founder, co-CEO at White Rabbit Intel, which is an artificial intelligence company. We enable people to hyper-target their market and be able to predict precisely who's the best fit to sell to before you reach out to them. So predictive prospecting.
And this is why I wanted you on. This is what I wanted to have a chat about, because I've seen just recently you have been getting a bit ranty, even by your own standards, about high volume sales. And
oh yeah, hashtag high volume is dead with the little skull, trying to push that. So people are starting to use it. Gotten one influencer to start using it. Beautiful thing. And I think people need to just wake up to it. Quality over quantity.
And so, but what do you mean by that? When you talk about high volume, what is that? If people are listening go, I don't really know what you're talking about, and then we can say why it's bad, and then we can start to look at what the alternatives are. So high volume, what are you even talking about?
200 cold calls a day, you're doing a high volume approach. If you're sending 1,000 emails in a sequence a week, you're doing high volume. What it means is that you're creating a generalized message around a pretty loose target. That's why it's so many people that you need to reach out to so many in the first place. And when you try to create a message that resonates with everybody, it doesn't make really anybody happy. It doesn't really connect. Being relevant and making that scalable. So relevance at scale is possible, but personalization at scale is not. Part of the problem with the market is that at this day and age, this point in time, it takes approximately 20 touches to get someone to reply to you on average. It's insane. 18 to 20. 10 years ago, it was 7 to 9. 10 years before that, it was 3 to 4. We're headed in the wrong direction. And it's because every sales manager out there, most of them at least with a traditional process, they just, oh yeah, we're not making quotas. We're not hitting the revenue goals. Okay, they just look back to go, okay, everybody, double the calls, double the emails, double the ad budget, double everything like that. And it's making it worse and worse. It's a compounding issue because when everybody's getting louder, every company keeps doubling. No one can hear anybody. And it's slowly having us slip down further and further into a hole, a mile-wide hole that everybody's sitting in, the marketplace. And that people just keep picking up the shovel, doubling everything. You're still picking up the shovel, keep digging, and it's getting worse and worse. I like to think of myself and my company as a rope to pull yourself out rather than picking up the shovel. Because to be able to break through that noise is very difficult and volume's not going to get you there. It's going to be personal outreach that is consistent, continuous, and you're trying to build an actual relationship. You're being human rather than just trying to peddle a product. So when you could break through that noise, people fear doing that because they may not be talking to the right people. You generate any lead list, you're going to get about a 1.5% opportunity rate in it. So generate a list of 1,000 people, about 15 individuals are an actual opportunity. How many of those close? Well, it's up to your close rate on that, right? So to get to those 15 people, you have to contact everybody, but that's point A to B. But then the goal is point C, which is the sale. A lot of people are really good at getting from point A to point B, which is priming them for that. But what if you were able to work yourself around that? What if there's a shortcut from point A to point C and you don't have to do all that high volume to be able to sift through it? Filtering it in an intelligent way, using a data-driven approach to do so. What if you had the opportunity where you can now target better, right? You could target, hyper target, so that the leads that you generate, rather than getting a 1.5% hit rate or successful opportunity rate in there, why not generate 10%, 25%, 47.5% of the leads from a database even are an opportunity fit, right? When you're able to do that, it's incredible. Now, if you take any inbound, or if you're just doing it traditionally, why not be able to analyze those leads to see, okay, here are the needles in the haystack. Those 1,000 people, those same 1,000 people, analyze them, boom, there are the 15 people that you should be targeting in minutes. So now you can focus on doing the proper pre-called planning, the research, and build strong, lasting relationships with people who actually matter, people who you can sell to that fit your client base. It's a game changer to it. With that opportunity, think about how many leads you lose simply because they feel like you're spamming them, simply because you're pissing in your own soup, creating messaging, or dumping millions of dollars into messaging, getting a wildly good engagement rate, yet your conversion rate is still next to nothing, piss poor.
Is that all?
Oh, I can go for days, but yeah, that's kind of like the whole thing, if you will, the idea.
It is, and I'm scribbling away like mad here because there's some bits we need to go back into and really start to look on that. So you've talked about the number of touches. And so what it sounds like a little bit to me is that people go, no, you need 20 touches. Right. Well, let's write 20 emails then. And this is where people just get a sequencer and go, there you go. Oh, I've thought of 20 things to say. Well, actually, no, I thought of 5 things to say, and I just put a whole load of other crap in. And so they're creating noise by doing that. Correct?
Yeah. I mean, think about it. How many emails hit your inbox? Are you happy with that? No. Why do you do that to other people? So put it this way, your market people is spam. You hate how many emails you're getting. Your inbox is not manageable. You can't even stand looking at your inbox because it stresses you out. And you think people should stop, and it's annoying. You keep marking them as spam. Why are you telling your sales team and your marketing team to do the exact same fucking thing to everybody else? Really think about it. It's total nonsense. It's chaos.
It is, as you say, it compounds and it gets noisier. So we shout louder. So we send more, and I'm going to send 21, and you're going to send 22. And then I say, well, I'm going to send 40 then. And it just gets bothered.
If everybody hates it, why do they keep doing it to each other?
But mine's different, Rob. Mine's interesting.
Oh, yeah. Just like your mother told you were special.
Something like that. Yeah. No, it is. But I think that's what it is. Well, that's everyone else is doing it wrong. But mine's correct, and mine's okay. And it's okay for my team to do that. Okay, so there's one thing that we're kind of wasting time and sort of making life difficult for ourselves. Now, you've used a couple of words there: personalization, relevance. I think these sometimes get confused. Are they the same thing? Were you using those interchangeably, or are they different in your mind?
Not interchangeably. You can be relevant at scale, meaning, but you have to niche, segment. That's the goal. You can't be relevant if you're contacting a list of 10,000 people. You really just can't. You can be somewhat relevant in some way, maybe, because every business needs to make money and they sell something, or they might be in the same industry. But being
make
relevant,
money, saves time, and keep you out of prison. There you go. That's what you do.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So saves time, makes you money, keeps you out of jail. Fantastic. Everybody can resonate with making money or saving time, or improving. Now, being relevant at scale is that you need to segment for that, creating small lists, a couple hundred people, and doing outreach that is specific to the human being you're speaking to the industry that you're speaking to, and then speaking to the pain based on the company's size. Because the company size, operationally, if you think of a specific industry based on that, let's say IT and services, for example, if an IT company is between 50 and 200 people that work there, they're going to have a very specific set of pains. Now, when you get to 200, 1 to 500, that type of pain changes because operationally they have a lot of the things figured out to have even scaled to that size. So speak to the human, meaning CEO in London that has kids, educated, believes in economic empowerment, has been in their position between 5 to 7 years. They are skilled in marketing and leadership. And beyond that point, they have a background in, let's say, computer software, not IT and services, because their background does not necessarily reflect the company that they work for's industry, right? And they have at least a bachelor's degree education. So now you have that type of person. That is a specific individual. Now you pick an industry. That's how you're going to change your language. Then you pick the pain. The company size reflects that. so that you could speak directly to the human being. And even if you're switching industries, you sell to multiple, when you swap the industry, you swap the language, you're still going to have the same conversation with that human being with the approach. So being relevant at scale is a smaller scale process, but you can scale it. It's going to have a different message track around that. How can that be done? Well, knowing that much information about your clients. I mean, I use my own technology, and so do my clients, to be able to do that. Figure out precisely the granular and mathematically accurate target of who you sell to by analyzing who you did business with, who you didn't do business with, or who said no, right? Looking at both sides of the coin, being able to project that out accurately to get that level of detail and granularity. You can plug that into like Zoom Info, Sales Navigator, whatever it is that you use, it does not matter. And being able to create those lists of people to have those sequences to fit them. Now, another layer on top of that, personalization. Personalization is
so just before we do personalization. So let me just say that. So when you're saying relevant at scale, actually, if I push back and say, well, that's not scale. What you're doing is you're scaling it right down to be very targeted, and you're going to go for a massive list of kind of every CEO in the whole of
Scalability is
Europe.
not about volume all the time. Scalability is also about replicability.
Okay.
You can scale high or you can scale wide. High is volume, wide is multiple iterations, right? I say scale wide when you want to be relevant. Yep. When you personalize, whoever the person was, the marketer who said that personalization at scale and started advertising that, they should be shot. That is the stupidest thing anybody's ever said. It is not possible, because personalization by default, not personalized attributes such as, oh yeah, it has their name on it, that's a personalization. No. Personalization is when you're reaching out to them as a human being, an individual, to their person, if you will. It is directed toward them and only them. Now, to be able to do that, people don't do that. They use personalization attributes within they're trying to drive relevance. Relevance at scale more so is for awareness and for demand generation. Personalization is for building a relationship and ultimately selling. So when you personalize, people avoid that, and they do this high volume outreach to find people that are worth talking to, but then still don't personalize so much because they have so much on their plate at once. They're spinning too many plates. So if you want to personalize, you need to be able to literally hand pick out the people who are the best fit, so that you're spending the right time on it. I was speaking to a company the other day. They're only allowed to work 5 opportunities at a time, their sales team, and they're selling multi-$100,000 deals, or multi-100,000-pound deals. Now, that is interesting, because if one of them isn't a fit, 20% of their pipeline that month is destroyed. If 2 people aren't a fit, that's 40% of their pipeline's gone. If 3 people aren't a fit, 60%, so on and so forth. So it's a huge loss if they haven't done the proper research, pre-call planning, and relationship building with the right people. Why not know up front who those people are, so you can start at that point and skip all the rest of the crap?
Cool. So got relevance, understood what scale means. The personalization piece, I think I'm buying into this, but I just need to double check what you're saying here.
Yeah,
when
no problem.
Personalization, are you saying, right, I identified that you, Fred, you're the one, you're absolutely such a fit, I know your pains, I know where you are, we could do such a good job. Hey Fred, I see that you like cats and you like rugby, I think we need to talk.
Well, you're trying to appeal to them in their interests and such, but that's not really it. It's like, you understand their career, them as a human being, their goals, and the interests, values, aspirations. Like, we analyze psychometric data, so we get all that type of stuff to see how it fits and so on. But that should naturally occur in the conversation. When you're talking to them, you get them to open up and become you be a human, so they can become human to you, and they can see, oh, we're not so different after all. I really like this person. Yeah. I could definitely do business with them, because people buy from the people they know, like, and trust, period. It's the way it's always been. It's the way it always will be. So to be able to appeal to that, rather than just being another product that they can try or buy, you become a human being. Let's say they're not in an active buying cycle. This is where personalization is very powerful, and building these relationships, because it's not about timing. Less than 3% of your market is ready to buy right now, ever, guaranteed. That is the stat. But people, that's just the way the world works. Now, you can't just find those 3%. You're guaranteed a 97% failure rate. And that's if your targeting is perfect, literally. Now, it's not about the timing. The timing, instead of using it as the enemy, it's great. A blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then, right? But when they're not ready, it's about building that relationship and knowing they're a fit and continuously nurturing, because then when they are ready, they won't even go into the active looking phase. Active looking means that they're shopping around. They're ready to start looking into buying something, right? That's what it is, in case anybody listening didn't know. They won't even go into that phase because they're just going to call you and say, hey, Fred, I'm ready. Because you have that relationship, they trust you already. Why try to find trust in everybody else if you already have exactly what they need? They're ready for it. They already know you. They trust you. They believe in you. They see value in what you have to provide. What's the point of even looking anywhere else? Really?
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, the reason I phrased the question as I did is that just to get out that the personalization piece isn't necessarily about trying to be their best mate and you're trying to make it to that degree, but it is talking to them as a person. And again, I think you nailed it when you said it's about their goals, their interests, their values, their aspirations in role. So this is where because if you go too personal almost, and I'm talking like private or intimate, then you're going to be in danger of becoming irrelevant, aren't you? Because it's like, well, why are you ringing me up? You're trying to be my friend? I was a friend. I've got one.
Well, you can go that far, but they have to allow it or initiate it.
Right. They have to initiate that. That's not what we're leading on. We're leading on. We've totally got you as you're the kind of person we know we're going to do a brilliant, brilliant job with you. Yeah. So we're going to make sure the way we start talking is demonstrating that because of how you are and how you think. And if we end up talking about what goes on after work, happy days.
Yeah. You know that saying, I see you, like I see you. That means that you truly are at their level. You're resonating with them at a point where you understand them, not only as a person, but as a whole, their experiences, what they believe in, what they're working toward, what their mission is, and how that connects to you. I see you. That's the level you want to get to with them, because then you become an educated or an expert peer.
Yeah. So, I mean, really here now we're talking about clicking with an individual, if you like, that kind of deep level. And so what I'm now thinking is that there'll be some people that you just won't, because that's not how you are. It's not how they are. And you're not going to get that kind of,
that is literally what my company's technology is able to predict. How well you'll resonate, you'll hit it off with them. The probability you can build a relationship with them and their predisposition toward you, your value, and your business's core values, what you have to offer.
Say again. I think you need to repeat that. Your company can predict whether I can talk to a potential customer and whether we are going to click on that human level.
Yeah, it can. And what it also does is seeing if they fit your client base. So by analyzing that ecosystem, people who do business with you or you fail to do business with, we could see that, yeah, they fit as a client based on all the people that you currently work with. They're very similar, and they have a lot of the correlative properties all the way down from interests, aspirations, values, their skills, their education, where they went to school, potentially, how long they've been in their position for, what company they work for, how many years they've been in business, you name it. It's looking at all those different factors and seeing how they all connect. Where even if the target, you're not even going after a target that was built by us, people can have enough personal traits and some business traits, firmographic traits, where they're still a fit and they're the outlier, of course, and being able to find that, the needle in the haystack. For example, we ran data, and the ideal was to target CROs in the US of marketing companies. Turns out there's only 68 of those between 200 and 500 size, because marketing companies don't really have CROs, and CROs are more of a newer role. They don't target CROs. The AI said not to target CROs. Every single one of them was eliminated except for one, which was a 98.6% fit to their client base. They'll resonate. That is the one that you have where, sure, you want to target. It seems like a good idea, but none of them are really open to building a relationship with you or will resonate with your business's core values and you as a human being. So what does that mean? There is one, but there's an outlier in everything. There's always one or a couple. There's always someone, right? And that's what really fools salespeople into thinking, well, they could buy. Why not just be able to know, so you don't have to call a list of 1,000 people, get a C or a freaking mountain of rejections, and just know that one individual who's going to be willing to actually build a relationship with you, talk to you, and resonate with you right off the hop. That way you can just focus. Salespeople spend about 60% of their day trying to figure out who to target If you already know who to target and exactly which people are an opportunity, by default, just statistically with time saved, they're going to double their pipeline, double the number of meetings set, and double their conversions, simply because 60% of their time can be spent selling rather than trying to figure out who. It's just basic arithmetic.
So,
and that's not even adding the effectiveness increase or the productivity increase. That's literally just based on time not wasted.
Yeah. So I'm tempted to ask, how do you do this? But I'm wondering if we'll open too much of a can of worms there.
Rainbows, unicorns,
witchcraft. I know I said to you before, it's witchcraft, isn't
it? No, it's so it's not magic. I know it sounds too good to be true. All that, it's literally just math.
It's math because it's algorithm that it's taking the information that's available and matching up in a clever way and all that.
Yep, stuff. All the different characteristics of what make you who you are getting calculated, analyzed, and understood so that you say, yeah, this person is a fit. Their company's also a fit. You should reach out to them. Yeah.
Okay. So let's go down a different route then. So I'm a salesperson, I'm listening to this, I'm thinking, well, I don't need that. It's my job. That's what I do. I go out and talk to people and I find out if we're fit. And then I make friends, I build relationships with them and we start to work out what we're like. And then we start talking about challenges and needs and concerns and things, and then we match it. So yeah, what are you bringing to the party?
Yeah, what I'm bringing to the party is that you don't have to waste your time talking to all these people who are a total waste of your time, right? So you can do what you do best. Salespeople don't like looking or prospect. No one likes to freaking prospect. If anybody says that, that's a joke. You don't like being rejected constantly and doing your outreach all day and just getting no's all the time and then getting rejected constantly. No one likes rejection. It's against human nature. Why not only talk to the people where you go, when you find them, you go, oh my God, finally, this person's great. I need to, continue my conversation. Why not have that happen almost every time? And then you can focus on doing what salespeople do best as a salesperson, which is building the relationship, nurturing, and getting them over the line. That's what your job becomes. So instead of doing 250 dials, why not just do 15 dials, which is 3 dials to 5 people, per week that are an actual target, starting to do an omni-channel approach, email them, get them on LinkedIn, because you know that when you get them into the room with you, it is going to be worth your time.
And it sounds like it'll be a lot more fun as well, because you're absolutely talking to the people that you are good at talking to, A, but B, that you like talking to, because they're most like yourself, I'm guessing in most cases. And so I have to probably go back to the beginning a little bit, but what's stopping people do this then? It's kind of, because let me ask it slightly differently. We'll go back to how you do it, but do you need all the sort of the fancy AI and all the tech and all the stuff to do that? Or could you actually do this, like we said before we started recording, with a pen and paper?
You can use different pieces of it, but then it becomes a really long, drawn out process that's not scalable. That's the problem. It can be done. Right. It can be done. And it's the way that we used to do it before the age of churn and burn, dial for dollars came, right? That's the way we used to do business, which was arguably more effective, but with the intelligence behind it, you can scale that. They could be anywhere in the world. Doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. It's just that trying to find those people is the most impossible part. I mean, selling is the effectiveness rate of selling cold to close is 1% or less than 1%. It's pitiful.
Okay, so I guess what I'm saying is, I mean, hopefully people will be hearing this and thinking this does sound brilliant, and we'll go and look you up at White Rabbit and have a look at, I mean, the website demos stuff, doesn't it? Shows it really neatly. But if I think, well, I can't do that at the moment, I'm not the right place to do that. Hopefully they're taken away just by being more targeted, really thinking about your ICP, really just taking the time to say, I'm not going to call those, because actually in the heart of hearts, I know that it's going to be a waste of time.
And the question is your ICP even correct?
Because we had a conversation a little bit ago about this, didn't we? And that I think you told me that a lot of people kind of like the idea of their ICP and that who they would like to be selling to, and they want to be.
It's an idealism, yeah.
But in reality, actually, that's not who's buying from you when you go and look. Didn't you tell me
the different types of iterations of people that you should be targeting until you really get that a data analysis approach, you don't really understand, where it becomes that broad. Yeah, I target sales directors between 200 to 1,000 employees in the United States at software companies. Okay, you just named like 8.3 million people. Or yeah, I target CROs and software companies in the US between 200 to 5,000. Okay. On paper, right, or in the CRM, everybody that you have in there looks almost identical. Literally. Tell me this. How come you've only closed 5% of those individuals if they're your ideal target and exactly the same? Why is that? It goes much deeper than the superficial. It goes much deeper than what we could see as humans. It goes much deeper than the surface level.
And so again, when we're saying it goes much deeper, this is where we're back into their values, their aspirations, their goals, their desires, all this sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. We found that it's very heavy on skill based too. I mean, salespeople that are selling a certain product have a specific set of skills. Not Liam. I'm thinking of Liam Neeson from Taken. A very particular set of skills that I've acquired over. Yeah, but
that's what I heard as well, Rob. Sorry, I was a bit distracted.
You need a particular set of skills, and to either use the technology to fit the client base. I mean, salespeople need to resonate almost as if they would be a fit to buy because they need to believe in the product anyway. Same way. So if the person's a fit to buy and the salesperson believes in what they sell and they're good at what they're selling, they're going to be very alike.
But I mean, I'm just intrigued by this thing of companies or salespeople liking the idea of who they sell to. This kind of idealism, or maybe it's because that kind of target market sounds a bit sexier, it's a bit cool or whatever. But then in reality, it's actually
It's because it's what the investor told us has the largest TAM.
Right.
You know, TAM, I think, is a hilarious concept. Total addressable market, for those who don't know. TAM, total addressable market. Your TAM is any living, breathing son of a bitch with a pulse and a soul that could potentially buy your product for some reason, any reason whatsoever, at any given point in time for whatever purpose. It doesn't matter. Are you going to sell to your TAM, your whole TAM? No, not at all. No, never. If you're a lucky son of a bitch, you can get maybe a quarter of the TAM, like Salesforce did, which is, I mean, that ain't going to happen anytime soon, really, in any market. But really what you're looking for is the addressable market. We like to call it the YAM, your addressable market, TM, right? So your addressable market is what you're looking for. Just because it's the total addressable market, you can't get them. There's obtainable market, which is still people who are a fit to buy it and have a need for it currently. But then your addressable market are the people that you can address that will do business with you specifically because it's you, your business, your value, your core values, and the skill set and just overall resonance of what makes your company what it is and the people who work there. Who's going to do business with you?
And that is both, okay, in my case, Brindis, but Fred Copestake, because Fred Copestake's different to other people in Brindis. So it's like you're getting into that level, and to the point that actually Fred should go and talk to that person because that's what he's like and that's what he's like. But actually, don't put Fred in front of this guy because that would be a nightmare.
And that taking it to that, now you're saying that. So there's Fred, there's Brindis, right? Let's say you're doing account-based targeting, like people we work with account-based targeting, that's like step one into the somewhat future. That's, you know, it was a nice progression for the market, is that it gives you focus. You can now create messaging for a company. Congratulations. It's great. That really helped. But it's about, you know, let's say Google, for example. We take Google. If you look at the people in the United States that work for Google, and you're looking at people who are director, C-suite, and VP level, that includes heads because they have people in between C-suite and VPs, right? There are approximately 6,500 individuals who work at Google that are either directors, VPs, or C-suite that work in the sales division, business development division, or marketing division alone. That's crazy. What people would usually do is just start spamming everybody until they see something sticks. But it is far more targeted and directive, right? If you look at the people who are only active on LinkedIn within the past 30 days, that fit that criteria, you have about 1,500 people at Google. You can look this up. I'm dead serious. That's exactly what it is. Now, 1,500, a little bit better. Let's say you do LinkedIn outreach. Now you know they're active. You're more likely to get in touch with them from an omni-channel approach. Great. You start contacting those 1,500 people. Think about it. What if they're sitting next to each other in the office? Hey, did this asshole also give you the same email? And then, hey, Frank, did you also get this email? Oh, yeah. Why do they keep emailing it? We're sending us the same crap. This is where the volume fails. Brand damage starts to form. It starts festering. And if they're not interested, then you're just wasting so much time and dollars on trying to get their attention, right? So why not know ahead of time when you take an account? Like, for example, we're actually targeting Google, analyze the data, and then we plugged in the persona as specific as we could with Google in mind, people who work there that we're looking for, came up with a list of 61 individuals within that criteria, but much more granular. That's a target. Then we analyzed them. What did we do? Well, we found out that about 47% of them are a fit that we analyzed. Fantastic. That's because we got so granular. If we analyzed all 1,500 of those people, we'd probably have 99% are eliminated, which you can either take the 1,500 or the 61 that we got, or even the 6,500. We can analyze them and then tell you, okay, these are the people at Google that you want to contact. Then you could start dynamically mapping out the account and find the path of least resistance. I want to start with the director Viraj, and then I want to go to this VP Amy, and then I want to go to this C-suite Jordan, because that is my path of least resistance, where they have the highest predisposition to build a relationship and understand my value. So then you could start doing that, or find multiple directors and start multi-threading them, get multiple buy-in from the team, bring it up to that VP, influence the VP from a neutral into a friendly, and then bring that up to the C-suite, which you can't get in touch with because it's Google. They bring it up, and this C-suite already has a predisposition toward you and your value, your company, your product. So they're going to like you. They're going to hit it off with you. So boom, you just got yourself a sale and directioned yourself properly, rather than going through 1,000 of the other places where you could have had entry points and failed right off the hop. So think of it as people-based marketing or people-based sales instead of ABM or ABS, right? It's PBM or PBS, so that you can literally play your sale like a game of chess and know all of the different pieces that you have to take or avoid.
I like that. Play a game like a game of chess and take the pieces that you need. In fact, just take a bunch of queens. They can move anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to stick all queens on the board. You put your pawns. I'm going to.
How do you win with the least amount of moves and the lowest amount of risk? So that's how people would use us for complex sales, high ticket sales, or enterprise sales. Is because account mapping is already a regular practice for them. Why not have it with the intelligence behind it and be able to predict who, to be able to navigate your way through that company? I mean, this is truly the next generation of selling.
No, this is really cool stuff. So, but go what you just described there. So we started off 5,000 or 6,000, whatever it was, went down to 1,500, 61, 47% of those. How long does all that stuff take?
Oh, well, to build a list in Sales Nav that like I originally did, 2 minutes. Right. Okay, let's start from the top. Building the persona, running my data, getting the data set up, exported, and then ran through the system, 15, 20 minutes.
What?
Right. Got the target, applied that to Google, which is a target account. Great. That took about 2-3 minutes in LinkedIn Sales Nav. Then I pulled all those contacts, those URLs, LinkedIn Sales Nav. I used the tool for that. That took, 2 minutes? After that, ran it through a system, literally just uploaded it, ran it through. 5 minutes later, boom, there it is. And then mapping the accounts, that's the hardest part, because you need to figure out what their corporate structure looks like. And there are things out there for that that can do things like that. I know ZoomInfo and like Owler have started doing stuff along those lines. They're not 100% correct, but naturally you'd be doing it anyway in your regular process, except now you don't have to try to figure all of it out, just the couple pieces that make the most sense. But really the whole process to be able to get to the point where you have the predictability and everything sitting in front of you, that was 30 minutes of my time total.
Wow. Crazy. And in the office next door, there's somebody who's also targeting Google, and they're starting at the person whose name is A, and they're ringing them up, and then they'll get through, and then they go to B and C, and they
work your way down the list. Spend an entire month of getting told no, piss them off enough where they say, screw off, I don't want to talk to you, or you end up escalating it to the wrong VP, and then you get immediately rejected. Then you cross them off saying they're not interested, this is a bad fit, da-da-da-da-da. And then you've lost your opportunity at one of the largest accounts that you can have, simply because you had the wrong entry point and path.
Wow.
Happens all the time, every single day.
And what's really heartening with this is that, you think, oh, the machines are coming and AI is taking over and it's dehumanizing everything and it's going to take all our jobs away and all that.
I disagree with that 100% because salespeople are absolutely necessary. You shouldn't fear your job. Your job is just going to shift. It's going to change so that you're doing productive activity and actually selling rather than what the machine should be taking care of, which is the background research, intelligence, and the predictability and understanding who you are selling to so that it can actually give you the proper direction and certainty behind your process. So you can go in with full confidence, and just that mindset change alone is going to improve your outcome. Just the mindset alone.
And that's what I was going to say, is that, that's what you could easily say when you kind of only understand this a little bit. From what you've been explaining, you've kept talking about is people. We need to get in front of the right people. We need to talk as people. We can talk about them and have discussions that humans have with each other about stuff that only humans can have with each other. And start applying the insights and the context.
What's happening is that you're drastically decreasing your cost of data providers like ZoomInfo because you don't need to generate those tens of thousands of leads. They're banking on you failing. That's how they make their money. That's the revenue model. The more leads you generate, the more money they make, period. Yeah, congratulations. They're working against you, right? And no bad ill talk to them. They have an amazing product that's absolutely necessary that I use. It's just that it's being used the wrong way. LinkedIn Sales Nav, or just LinkedIn in general, they are literally building into their algorithm to block you from spamming people because it's such a problem. Microsoft, who owns LinkedIn, intended for people to use it to build lasting relationships. Our technology promotes the proper use of LinkedIn so you can get that ROI. If you think Sales Nav doesn't work, you're just using it wrong, right? Or you're not using it well enough, using that volume approach, and people don't want to be bothered with that stuff because all the noise. Back to the original problem, the high volume issue. And you're going to decrease the amount of dials that you have to make. If you're using an auto dialer, that spend just went way down. Maybe you don't even need it anymore, or a parallel assisted dialer, whatever it may be. You could just dial people and have a real conversation with them. There's no need to use that tech and have all that spend behind it. 1,000 dials, 50 cents a dial, boom. You just spent $500 in literally one day across 3 salespeople. Why would you do that if you could just spend I think $574 on our data, and then you could just have them continuously outreach multiple touches and hit that 18 touches to 20 touches that they need to get their attention. And if they're being that direction and careful with it and personal with it, you won't need 18 to 20 touches. They'll talk to you after a couple, maybe a few. We usually see it 3, 4, maybe 5. It's back to the old statistic, like in the 1990s. It's incredible. And that's the thing, is that we don't need, we're over automating it, where the dehumanization of sales is what's dug the hole. The volume approach is what's dug the hole that we're in. We need to get out of that. And it's all about being personal. It's about being extremely targeted. We like to call it hyper-targeting, use hashtag hyper-targeting, right? And predictable prospecting. That way, salespeople could do their jobs properly and actually bring in business, fill the pipeline, and close deals. It's optimization of the sales process. It's turning sales from a guess or an assumptive process that's half luck, half skill, to a calculated science, where if the skill is there, then success rates will increase drastically. There's no more luck or guessing behind it. It's just certainty and skill. If the sales team still can't sell or close it worth a damn, then of course you're not going to close the business, but you're at least talking to the right people. Then you actually have clarity and, oh, are these salespeople right for my business even?
Mate, I'm on board with it. It makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, I've said quite often, I think future we're looking at less salespeople who are more accomplished, who are more competent, who can do a better job.
And it's not necessarily less salespeople. If your operations support it, let's say you have 100 salespeople to close 50 deals a month. That's a lot of salespeople, right? But it's necessary to have that many when you're playing the numbers game. You take the numbers game out, you let a machine handle it. You're spending the amount on data as you would with like maybe 1 or 2 salaries of salespeople total. If you didn't want to fire those 100 salespeople, that's fine. Have them do the job a different way properly, so they're having these quality conversations consistently. And if your operational structure allows it, then you can start bringing on more clients faster, better, stronger, with better relationships that fit. There you go. How does that affect your business? If you could support that much, throughput of new client onboardings and all of that, then why wouldn't you do it? It's only just going to increase your revenue and increase your multiplier. If you're trying to get acquired, fantastic. That's all it's going to do for you. You don't have to fire them unless you want to sit where you are right now, get the same results. Then you get rid of 90% of the salespeople. There you go. You can get the same results with a data-driven approach, but you can keep all of them there. And then increase everything if that's the case. It's not about getting rid of them. It's about changing what their role does. Instead of making them do that erroneous, nonsensical, worker bee crap, the job that's meant for the donkey or the mule, just have them doing things that are actually productive rather than throwing 75-80% of a salary into an empty office chair.
Love it. I love the fact you just used erroneous and nonsensical in the same sentence as well. That's even better. No, that is so cool. Remind us then. So first up, what are those hashtags that you talked about?
Hashtag hyper-targeting, hashtag predictable prospecting, and my favorite, this is the one that I'm branding it's my own type of a thing that I want people to spread. It's not just for me, is hashtag high volume is dead with a little skull after it. Always remember to put that because it creates the impact for it. But people need to wake up to the fact and they need to keep seeing it to finally have it click. Because there are so many just really just ingrained, deep-rooted paradigms around selling is a numbers game. Oh yeah, we do it this way because it's the way it's always been. It's status quo. I call it status quo-itis. It's nicknamed the do nothing disease in my mind, right? And yes, that disease is terminal. But good news, there's a cure, and that cure is coming to a realization yourself and making a change. It's up to you to cure that disease. If you continue doing status quo, you will consistently start just diving and rotting and decomposing over time. It's either you're growing or dying. If you're doing the same thing over and over again, it will eventually, it could be working and it's continuously working. Fantastic. As soon as it peaks, it just slowly decays.
Very cool. So hashtag high volume is dead. Little skull. Where do people get in touch with you, Rob?
For sure. So you can contact me on LinkedIn. Easy to find me. You can just do the LinkedIn, linkedin.com/the-RevOps-hitman. That's what I'm nicknamed. So fun stuff there. Or you can look at my company, White Rabbit Intel, on LinkedIn, or you can go to www.whiterabbitintel.com. That you can request a demo there or reach out to my team, however you like. Find any of my teammates on LinkedIn if you so choose. And you can also contact us through sales@whiterabbitintel.com or the team at whiterabbitintel.com, depending on the conversation. So there's plenty of ways to get to us. Super duper easy. And we're happy to give 15-minute consult or just talk about what it would take to make your company data-driven for a digital transformation, or what you need to do to help change. The way that we look at it is that when we meet with you, if you don't walk away with actionable ideas and strategy that you can use, even if you don't work with us, you probably didn't have a conversation with us.
Love it.
One of our core values is that we deliver wow at every corner. If we don't deliver wow, we have failed.
Again, love that too, sir. Thank you so much for taking time. I know you've got a load going on at the moment as well, so thank you so much for making time to come on here. We'll pop those links into the show notes as well. And no, really, thank you so much. Good as ever to talk to you, sir.
Of course, yeah, no, the pleasure's mine, Fred. Always a pleasure.